Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We're going to be talking about the Jim Crow laws today. Um, just looking at this video makes me mad. But these people always trying to do something to keep a black person down. They don't want to see a black person have nothing. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Um, let's get into it.
I went down to Illinois to Reddish and vote. I got down and made my revolve back. My landlord said unto me, if you don't go down and take your name off the registration to move. I took his word and I moved to Drew, Mississippi. Couldn't set too much pressure to be on the landlord there. Had me to move on to Cleveland, Mississippi. After arriving to Cleveland, Mississippi, my wife, she had to go to the hospital down to Jackson. Is there on the same generation. And I didn't know what step to take. I'm still working. 9 girls here. I'm working, trying to take care of them, the best of my knowledge.
This is Mrs. Mildred Evans. She's 32 years of age. She's lived on Mr. W.D. Fields' plantation for 11 years. She's the mother of 8 children. Her children do not attend school regularly because of food, clothing, and money. Last year, Mrs. Evans made 11 bales of cotton. At the end of the year, she only received $123.
I am 17 years old. I pick 300 pounds of cotton a day.
I am 9 years old. I help my mother pick cotton. I pick 100 by day.
I am 14 years old. And I help my mother pick cotton. I can pick about 200 a day.
This is Mrs. P. Williams, the great-grandmother of the 5 children here. She receives a small Social Security check each month, and from this she must help support the children so their mothers earn and take care of them.
The reason I do, because my mother worked a crop, and I had to help her, and so I quit school so that I could help her.
You and I were both lied to since childhood. We were told, since we were her age, that we had to save up cash to get started into real estate. In fact, I was told I had to go to school, I had to get a license, I had to do all of these things just to get my start in real estate. Corbin, do we have to go to school to get started in real estate?
My daddy didn't go to college.
That's right. Her daddy did not go to school or college, and her daddy does not have a real estate license, yet her dad owns 2,132 rentals all over the country. Not one time did I get a bank loan. Not one time did I use my credit. I didn't have to have a W-2 to do any of these things because I use Creative Finance. Creative Finance gave me the life of my dreams. I'm here in Montana at a property I bought with $1 down. No credit check on seller finance. You guys want to learn how to do this? You don't.
I saw this clip, and honestly, I just think it's very important for a lot of Black Americans to see this. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. And credit belongs to original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in at this episode. Guys, this clip was talking about a whole lot, and knowing fully well that this is Black American History Month, I want you guys to honestly watch and let me know your honest opinion in the comment section. For disclaimers, this is just for educational purposes, not to come here bash anyone or make anyone feel uncomfortable. Okay? So anyways, guys, with that being said, let's dive right into this video, and I'll be back with commentaries. Watch from beginning to the end. Okay? Let's go watch, guys.
As a Black person, have you ever explained racism and slavery and Jim Crow and all these things to your kid to actually listen to their response and how they actually felt about it? Now, my daughter, she's pro-Black, right? Rightfully so, because I'm pro-Black. But she ain't Martin Luther King pro-Black. She was like Malcolm X pro-Black, right? You know, like the what's up, my brother, oppression. That's what's up, my brother. She's one of them, right? So she says, well, Daddy, how long was slavery for? I said, well, for about 250 years. She said, well, you know, what are some of the things that happened during slavery? I said, well, a lot of illegal experiments, breeding camps, forced free labor amongst Black people, Native people. There were some indentured servants, which were Italian and Irish. And then you also, she was like, well, were there Black slave owners? I said, yeah, there were Black slave owners too. Not as much as white slave owners, but there were Black slave owners. And their methods was just a little bit different. She said, why there were Black slave owners? I was like, well, capitalism. A lot of them wanted to protect their family, and this was one of the few ways that they were able to do this as well. She says, "Oh, okay, well, what happened after slavery?" I said, "Well, then you got segregation, you got Jim Crow." She says, "What's Jim Crow?" I said, "Well, it's a time period where they created codes, black codes and laws, pretty much inhibiting black people from being outside, education, pretty much damaging the black community. This is where you see that black people couldn't ride on the front of the bus. This is where a lot of black people were also getting lynched, and a lot of black people were getting attacked and followed and hurt and X, Y, and Z." The conversation is a little bit longer than this, but then she starts getting this kind of flustered look on her face, and I said, "Well, I'm thinking maybe there's a lot of information for her." I said, "Well, baby, well, you okay? Everything's all right?" She says, "Well, I don't get it. Why would a group of people do such a thing?" And I tried to give it a kinder answer, and I was like, well, in my opinion, a lot of it also stems from the idea that we believe and think the same way they think. So if we were to ever get empowered, that we would do these things to them, that we would hurt them, and we would take their lives, and we would pretty much wipe them out. And she pauses, and she looks at me. She says, "Well, Daddy, that makes a lot more sense." I said, "Moy." She says, "Daddy, that makes a lot more sense." I said, "All right." Let me shut the fuck up. Happy Black History Month, people. Educate your kids or somebody else will.
My guy. So as y'all know, Mississippi just passed the Jim Crow law. Just history repeating itself. But there's something that y'all don't know. And I need all my people to listen. We gotta wake up. 'Cause it's that time. See, 'cause what y'all don't know is the Jim Crow law is actually associated with the Bible and the curses that was put upon his people. So I want to answer this woman's question.
I'm so fucking scared. It has just come to my attention because I didn't know about it just until today. In Mississippi, there was just a law passed like 5 days ago that the Jim Crow laws are being reinstated. That shouldn't be happening at all. And I know you may be wondering, this is like not my normal content on here, but I'm sorry. And I just have to make this known because what the fuck? What the actual fuck? Why? I really don't understand why people do not like me. Do not like us. Because of my color of skin. I don't understand. I really don't fucking understand. What the fuck did I do?
You ain't do nothing. They just
You
talk.
didn't do nothing. But our ancestors did. The Jim Crow is resurrected in Mississippi. Did wokeness do this? As a matter of fact, it did. Now, some of us who have learned the truth are not surprised by this. It may alarm the sleepwalkers. The Most High have already told us that they will have hatred towards us. All you gotta do is read the word and the curses put upon his people. See, their problem is they finally starting to realize that their wicked rulership is almost up. But I ain't gonna lie, we finna go through some battles, and it's gonna get worse before we leave. We warned our people that are sleepwalking that these nations hate us, and it has nothing to do with skin color. It's because of who we are. The tribe of Judah. The real Jews.
Right.
It was prophesied that we would be hated throughout the four corners of the earth. What y'all need to find out and learn is that the Bible is our history book. Not a Christian book. Our ancestors were not Christians. They was Israelites. It's time for y'all to learn the truth. And this has nothing to do with religion or tradition. My motto will forever be relationship over religion, truth over tradition. It's that time. It's time for y'all to learn who y'all are. And it's time for y'all to gain a relationship with the Father through his word, not a religion. Now we gonna start off with, who is this? Who is this? Cause the show ain't Yahshua. Cause if the Bible's saying that his hair is white like wool, and I mean white like wool, just like this, where did the brown hair even come from? If it said his skin color was the color of fine brass, burnt in a furnace. And I mean burnt in a furnace. This is an actual picture right here of someone burning fine brass.
I've been building out my capsule wardrobe and recently bought this pair of black slacks. I needed some inspiration for how to wear them, so
Then where did y'all get white from? Or even the olive skin color y'all keep claiming. Y'all just don't want him to be black so bad. Y'all just make up any lie. And he was born in Israel, which is Northeast Africa. Y'all stop saying Middle East. It was not called the Middle East back then. It was a part of Africa. So you mean to tell me when they had to hide Jesus, Yeshua, in an all-black place in Africa to blend in with the people, you saying that they hid a white man or an olive skin color man in a place full of black people? It's impossible. Which is common sense that he had to be black to blend in with black people. Now I'm finna tell you why his skin color got something to do with the Jim Crow law and them trying to bring back hanging and lynching. Now, in the Bible, Pilate's wife had a dream about the Messiah. When she seen that the people was trying to kill him, she pulled her husband aside and said, "Have nothing to do with this righteous man." She said, "I suffered much suffering in a dream today. Have nothing to do with his killing." So Pilate turned to the people and said, "I don't see nothing wrong that this man is doing for me to kill him." Pilate was talking to the Hebrews, our people. He said, "If y'all decide to kill this man, the blood will not be on my hands. It will be on y'all's." So then the Jews, aka Hebrew Israelites, mistakenly said, "It's okay. Put it on our hands, our children's hands, for generations and generations. Crucify him." So then it was so. So from then on, we was cursed to die the same way he died. Now they like to tell y'all that he died on a cross, but that is far from the truth. The cross is one of the main graven images that he talks about in the Bible. The word cross was never even in the Bible to begin with. It was added in there from a pagan god they called Tammuz. The cross is a symbol of the first letter of his name, a T. Now, if you look at the history during those times, you would know that if you were worthy of death, you had to be hung. It was the law. Acts 5:30 even told you that he died from hanging from a tree. There was a divine curse placed on a hanged person. And if a man has committed a crime punishable by death, and he is put to death, you hang him on a tree. For a hanged man is cursed by God. And when they had carried out all that was written of him, they took him down from the tree and laid him in his tomb. The same way they do us till this day. For what our ancestors have committed, it allowed us to be punished the same way he was punished. I'ma show y'all the curses that was put upon us. Slavery and captivity. Having no power to stand against our enemies. Being sent back to Egypt again by ships. Exiled in the land of our enemies. Scattered among all nations. A very sick and disease-stricken people. At the bottom socially with other races high above us. Lost the true knowledge of who we were and will be called by many scornful nicknames other than Israel and Hebrew, which is still happening to this day. Packed into prisons and jails. A non-prosperous people. We even hate each other and oppress people by our enemies. The world will not tell you who or where the Israelites are today, but the scriptures will. There's nothing new underneath the sun. There is nothing new. Our sons and daughters will be given to another nation while your eyes grow weary looking for them day after day with no power in your hand. With no power in your hand. With none at all. The cross story couldn't be real if they wanted it to. How did they nail his feet and hands to a cross when it says that he protected all his bones? Not one of them is broken. There would be no way to hammer a huge nail into someone's foot to hang
You ain't got no bone.
without breaking a bone. There's no way. This is the real reason why no bones shall be broken. The sad reality is, if we continue to disobey, we'll continue to pay. So please, it's time for us to wake up. Stop letting them brainwash you and make you forget who you are. Stop letting them make us feel like we are nobody, because they know who we are. Our people back then just didn't know how to read and write. So they didn't know that the Bible back then was made for them. They felt like it was a horrible, horrible book. But they didn't realize the truth was inside of it. But now it's our time to make up for it. That the truth of who we are is inside of it. Our time is coming, and they know it. The Bible is our true history book. The problem is we let everybody get into our head. Why do you think there is thousands and thousands of religions, but only one true God? All trying to praise the same person, but giving them different names. That's because you were supposed to gain a relationship with the Father through the Word, not a religion. And that's where we as a people fall at.
Hello, an invisible force is holding you back without you knowing. What if I told you that everything can change today? My name is Maria, Seer Mage and Destiny Numerologist.
Know that not all Black people are Africans? There is a group of people that are Blacks but did not originate from Africa. They originated from Negro land. Now, before you call me nuts, let me apologize to you in advance. I'm sorry they did this to us. I'm sorry they erased our true history and taught us a false one that did not teach us about who we truly are and where we truly came from. But most importantly, I'm sorry that we did not hearken to the voice of the Lord our God, because it is our disobedience to him that led us here. I'm sorry. No, I find that the majority of people who reject this knowledge are pastors and preachers who have been trained in seminaries by white scholars to learn the Bible a certain way. You see, they were trained to educate us with white thinking as it relates to the Bible. Let me quickly put your preconceived argument to rest. This is not a race thing. This is a truth thing that unfortunately the white man has used the race card to achieve. Because when they sold us this blue-eyed white Jesus, everything was okay, right? But we're now in an era where the math is no longer mathing and we have questions. The angel had told Daniel in Daniel chapter 12, verse 4, shut up the book until the end, because in the end times, God had planned on setting some things straight. The fact that we're being blessed with this knowledge today means it's end times, baby. Let's get into it then, shall we? There is a place called Negroland, represented on this map between the region of Guinea and the Sahara Desert. The same area was also called Negrita or Negritia, but today it is divided into West Africa and the Middle East. But there is a people that originated from the country of Negroland that are now scattered across the four corners of the earth. And here's why. Firstly, there are a list of curses in Deuteronomy chapter 8 that God said would come upon the children of Israel if they did not listen to the Lord their God and hearken unto his voice, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes. Long story short, they did not keep his commandments and his statutes. So what he said in Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 25 took effect as a result. He allowed these Israelites to scatter all across this world, and strangers came and dwell in their land instead. How did the strangers get there? There was a Jewish and Roman war in the 66 to 70 AD, and that war expelled these Negroes once and for all. As a result of this war, the Negroes fled their land to Egypt. Then from Egypt, them run away and go to Africa. Now, these Negroes are a black race, so they blended in pretty well in Africa. But it was said that these Africans did not want these Negroes in their land, so they sold them into slavery to the white man. I know the truth might cause an offense, but it's not sin, and it will set you free. When these Israelites, or Hebrews, or Negroes, came to Africa, they settled mainly in Nigeria and Benin. Some of them are still there, but the majority of them are scattered across this world.
If we ever find out who we really are, the people that say they are us are in trouble. This has got to be the greatest hoax in history. Revelation 2 verse 9 says that there are a group of people who are false because they call themselves Jews but are not. These Jews are white folks from Khazari because the last time the true Hebrews were in Jerusalem was in the 70s. It is said that the so-called Jews who are now there are converts, and they are from the Caucasus Mountains in the southern hemisphere of Russia. Their king at the time, King Bulan, said that both Muslims and Christians were coming against his kingdom. So he didn't want to be Muslim, neither did he want to be Christian. So he decided that he and his people will be Jews. King Bulan then sent to Jerusalem to get Babylonian Talmudic rabbis to teach them Judaism. So they converted the whole country to Judaism and called themselves Jews. When Hitler decided that he wanted to get rid of these people, they had to find themselves a homeland. Since they were already Jews, they felt entitled to live in Jerusalem. And in 1948, with the help of the United Nations, Britain signed a declaration to give Israel to the Palestinians because they were living in that land at the time that the Jews migrated. Well, these are white people living in one of the most hottest places on earth with no true heritage to the land. But because they are your bankers and they own your Federal Reserves and your media houses, then we just go with it. Now back to the Africans who sold us out. Yeah, I said it. So the war was to genocide these Hebrews or Negroes once and for all, but you can never kill purpose, can you? The Negroes fled to Africa and were in the Kingdom of Judah, the same place the slave coast is, the same place they get their gold and their grains. The 1771 map actually removes the Kingdom of Judah, but of course they wouldn't want us to really trace where we came from. During the transatlantic slave trade, these Negroes were sold into slavery to North America, the Caribbean, and South America. Are we still here today? Absolutely. Isaiah chapter 11 verse 11 says that it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time. Sounds like he has freed us before, perhaps out of 400 years of slavery in Egypt. He will set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. The word remnant means a part or quantity that is left after the greater part has been used, removed, or destroyed. That means that our Father have 99 sheep and one that is lost, and he's coming back for that lost sheep. That means that of the 12 tribes of Israel, the others know who they are, but the tribe of Judah is lost, and lost in the sense that they do not know who they are or where they came from. To wrap this up, there is a reason why Christ said in Matthew 24, don't be fazed by the wars and the rumors of wars and earthquakes and pestilences, etc., because the end is not yet. In fact, Christ said that, and this gospel will be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. Not only is he bringing salvation to the Gentiles, but he must also take the gospel back to the lost tribe of Judah that is scattered to the four corners of the earth, so that they can understand that, yes, I allowed you to be scattered, but just like a parent who chasten and love their child, he is coming back for his lost sheep, because his love for us would have it no other way. And he made a covenant with our father Abraham that he will never break. Where you are now is not where you originated from. Why should a black man be called Mr. White anyway? Wake up, Judah. It's almost time to go. Hallelujah.
Jim Crow law was stated and local laws in the United States that enforce racial segregation and discrimination against Black Americans, namely in the southern states from the late 1800s until the mid-1960s. What were Jim Crow laws all about? Jim Crow laws required separation of black and white in everyday life. These include separate schools, separate bathrooms, separate drinking fountains, separate restaurants, separate buses and train cars, separate hospitals and cemeteries. Although the facility were supposed to be separate but equal, they were almost always unequal, with black facilities receiving far less funding and resources. When did they start? Jim Crow law began in the late 1870s and 1880s after Reconstruction, the period following the Civil War. After slavery ended in 1865, Black Americans were granted citizenship and voting rights. During Reconstruction, many Black Americans held political office. But when federal troops left the South in 1877, white Southern lawmakers regained control and passed law to 1. Strip Black citizens of political power. 2. Reinforce white supremacy. 3. Maintain economic control. How voting was blocked. Even though the 15th Amendment gave black men the right to vote, Southern states used tricks to prevent them from voting. Polling taxes, fees required to vote, literacy tests, often unfair or impossible, grandfather clocks allowed white voters to skip tests of their grandfather had voted, which exclude former enslaved people. Intimidation and violence. This effectively shuts most Black Americans out of politics for decades. Violence and terror. Jim Crow wasn't just about law. It was also enforced through violence and fear. Thousands of Black Americans were victims of lynchings. Groups like the Ku Klux Klan, which is the KKK, use terror to maintain racial control. Speaking out could lead to arrests, job loss, assaults, or death. The Supreme Court rule. In 1890s, the U.S. Supreme Court's case Pellas v. Ferguson ruled the racial segregation was legal under the doctrine of separate but equal. This decision gave legal backings to segregation for nearly 60 years. The end of Jim Crow. Jim Crow law began to dismantle during the civil rights movement in 1950s to 1960s. Major turning point. In 1954, Brown v. Board of Education, Supreme Court ruled school segregation unconstitutional. In 1964, Civil Rights Act banned segregation in public places. In 1965, Voting Rights Act protected voting rights and ended discriminatory voting practices. In simple terms, Jim Crow law was a system designed to keep Black Americans socially and economically inferior, enforce racial segregation, maintain white political and economic power. They shaped this society, American society, for nearly a century, and their effects are still felt today. And this is why I will never buy an idea where a lot of people would always come and say Black Americans do not need reparation. Because at the end of the day, Jim Crow law was meant to be back in those days. But even till this point, I can tell you that this is still affecting the Black community. That is why a lot of white folks feel like they are more superior. A lot of white folks feel like they are over every single person. A lot of white folks can just act anyhow they want just because they still feel that honor of superiority inside of them. Black Americans have been going through this for years, and even till this point, I can tell you that it has literally not been erased. And why are we doing this video? Like one of the guys said in the second clip, through your possible best to teach your kids, show your kids ways, teach them the laws, let them know where they are, let them know the environments that they are going to be facing and dealing with in the nearest future. I'm not saying you should go teach them and let them be violent. No, I'm just saying they should be aware, because I can tell you that a lot of libraries are moving out this said information. A lot of schools are no longer teaching history as it was meant to be. A lot of things have just been changed. In fact, some people can literally come and tell you that even during the Jim Crow law, every single thing was equal, but it has never been that way. And that is why when I literally saw this particular clip, I decided to bring it here so that we can literally educate each other as Black people. And for disclaimers, this is just for educational purposes only. This is me bringing my opinion and making it clear what the law was all about then and how it's affecting the society now. But anyways, if you're still among those group of people, you've been shouting, screaming, Black people do not need reparation, or you are still among some set of these Black people that literally do not believe that you people, Black Americans, need segregation, please desist from it, because there were a lot of things that were done, and even till date, we still feel the effects, the impacts negatively in the society. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And I want to say a very big thank you to every one of you supporting me, liking my videos, sharing, dropping commentaries, dropping super thanks. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And I want to say a very big thank you to every single one joining my membership as well. God bless you. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.
Discover a better kind of backyard water experience. One that combines fitness, play, and